Hey guys, what's up? It's TDRP Cubing here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to solve the clock.
Perfect.
So the first thing you need to know in order to solve the clock is the two different types of pieces. The first one is the pin piece right here. This piece can be moved up and down. And then there's the dial piece. There are a total of 4 dial pieces on the entire puzzle. So in order to make a move on this puzzle, what you have to do is stick one of the pins up and move the wheel that corresponds to that pin. So this would be one of the types of moves you can do. So if I were to put this pin up right here, it would turn these 4 pieces. And the pieces always move the direction that you move the dial. So if I move it this way, the pieces will go that way. If I move it back, the pieces will go back. And it's the same type of thing for all the different dials. Another thing you can do is put 2 dials up, and instead of just moving these 4 pieces or these 4 pieces, it moves all 6 of these pieces. And it doesn't matter which dial you move. So if I use the top dial, it will turn all 6 of the pieces the direction that I'm moving the dial. And it's the same thing if I use the bottom dial. And for the third type of move you can do, if you stick all 3 dials up, you can move this entire section, all except for this bottom corner. So basically, this is how it works. And if you were to move this dial, it would not move any of these pieces, it would just move this one piece. And for the last thing you can do, if you move the last pin up and you have all 4 up at the same time, if you move any of the dials, it will move all of these pieces in the face, like so. And so these are the types of moves that you will be using in order to solve this puzzle. Now, there are no actual algorithms, so this is basically one of the only things you have to know in order to solve the puzzle. So where do you start with this thing? The face that I start with is the dark blue face, but you could start with this one or the light blue face if you'd like. I just prefer starting with the dark blue face. And so what that leads to is step number 1, the first cross. So here's what you do to get the first cross. Now, what a cross would look like on this puzzle is if all 5 of these pieces right here were facing upwards. So what you do to start is find one of these pieces you would want to match the middle piece with. So let's say this piece right here. This arrow is pointed down, so I need to get this arrow to be pointed down also. So as you know, if you put one pin up, it affects the 4 pieces around it. So if I were to stick this pin up and do a move, that would not help me get this arrow to match with that one. So what I have to do is find a pin that has 4 pieces surrounding it that won't affect this piece. So what I'm going to do is use the top left pin. Now, if I move it the direction I'd like, I can get it to match with this arrow. And that's the first thing that you do. And what you want to do is do that with all of the other 3 arrows. So now I want to match these 2 arrows up with that one. So I move a pin up that will move these 2 pieces. And then I do the move I need to do to get these arrows to match with that one. And you basically just move it until it matches up. There you go. Next, I want to match it with this arrow, and now that I have 3 arrows to match up, I have to move 2 pins up. And so these 2 pins will affect these 6 pieces, and the piece I'm trying to match them up with is not affected in this case. So that means that this would be the right move to do. So now I'm going to move these 3 pieces, and now they match up. And then now for the last piece, I will move these 2 bottom pins up, since they won't affect this piece, and move the arrows until they match up. And that is the first step. Step number 2 is getting the cross done on the other side. So what you want to do is basically the same thing you did on this side, but on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly, since all you need to know is what I did for this one is the exact same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and finish. If you're still confused on how to get the cross done, you can always go back, because this will basically be the exact same thing. So here we go. And now I have gotten the other cross done. And now for the last step, step number 3, we are going to solve the rest of the puzzle. So in order to do that, you keep this puzzle on the same side that you just did the cross for in step number 2, and you solve these corner pieces right here. And so for the first corner piece I want to solve, I want to do the top right corner piece. So in order to do that, I need to move 3 pins up that won't affect this corner piece. So what you need to do now is move any of the 3 dials that correspond to any of the 3 pins standing up until all of these pieces match with this one. So what I'm going to do is move the top left dial like this. And now the cross pieces match up with this one corner piece. So the next corner piece I want to solve is this one. So what I'll do is I'll move this pin up and this pin down, since it corresponds with the piece that I'm currently trying to match. So now I'm going to move any of the other 3 dials like this until they match up with that piece, and they do. Next up, I want to do this bottom right corner, so I'll move this pin down and this pin up and get the pieces to match. And now we are on the final corner piece, which is this one. So I'll move this pin down and this pin up and do this. And now for the last thing you need to do, make sure all 4 pin pieces are facing up and move all the pieces until they're pointed straight up. And now the puzzle is completely solved. So that, guys, was the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any questions, then make sure to ask them down in the comments below. Besides that, have a good day and bye. See you next time.